everyone, I'm Mine, and this is set number 71411, the Mighty Bowser from the LEGO Super Mario theme. This set contains 2,807 pieces and will retail for $269.99 in the US. This is an all-new set that does not come out until October 1st, 2022, but it was sent to me early by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. So here is the Mighty Bowser, and wow, what an incredible looking set. This was one I was very excited for, and now having it in hand, it might actually be one of my favorite sets of this year. Now, I'm not sure how long this review is going to actually be, because a lot of it's just like what you see is what you get. There's not like a lot of hidden details here, but what you see is fantastic. They capture the shape of Bowser really well. He's actually very poseable, fun to play with, looks fantastic on a shelf, and actually the functionality with the LEGO Super Mario game is also one of the best I've ever seen. This set really has it all, but let me take you through each individual bit. So we'll start at the top with the head, where I think the shaping is really fantastic. I love how they did like his entire mouth, like all these different tan pieces. The snout is shaped really well. I like the car hood piece up here to represent the top of his nose. The little teeth pieces are the perfect size for a build on this scale. Because in normal LEGO sets, when these teeth pieces are used, while they can look really good, they're usually a very predominant part of the build. But because this guy is so big, they're just used as subtle detailing, and it fits like Bowser's look perfectly. On the side, you can see the cheek and the way the top jaw connects to the bottom jaw. There's the horn coming out the side, and I love the bright green used for the head. Bright green is a very cool color that is not used all too often, so it's great seeing that here. And everything is pretty much the same on the other side of the head. Now you can see the head is able to rotate back and forth, so you can pose this guy in different ways if you want. His eyebrows are huge and bushy, and those are on little mini ball joints as well, so you can articulate them to get different expressions. Like you can have him look sadder, have him look really surprised, or incredibly angry. There's just lots of different options there, and I absolutely love that. Whenever you're able to get a lot of personality out of a build, that's something I really appreciate, and this set does a fantastic job with it. The individual eyes on Bowser are also able to rotate, so you can have him looking off to one side, you can make him cross-eyed, or you can make him look like that. Which again, that's just another fun option to give him a lot of personality. Like, he looks ridiculous like that, but then I do this and suddenly he's really cool. Those eyes are also printed parts. There's no stickers in this entire set. Not a ton of prints either, but the few things that required like detailing on the actual brick are all prints, which I do really like. The red hair coming out the back of his head is done pretty well too. There's a little bit of articulation on these if you want. This one especially is like very loose, you can move that up and down. But personally I think it looks best just to keep it all down like this. And then there's one more thing with the head. Now the mouth can actually open, and if you open that up, a spring-loaded shooter will shoot out. That's like the newer 4+ / LEGO City spring-loaded shooter, and I believe this is an all-new color for the actual bolt, being this fireball. Now that is a very cool recolor that obviously fits Bowser perfectly, and I like that there is a proper actual play feature in this set. But with that removed, you can see into his mouth a little bit better. Lots of red in there, a few more teeth in the back, and you can see back there is where you load the spring-loaded shooter bolt up. Coming down to the arms, the shaping on them is fantastic once again. They feel very round, which obviously is quite accurate to the in-game Bowser. I love the way they did like little bracelets around his arms. The arms connect to the body on some rigid Technic joints, so you can move them up a little bit, move them down a little bit, as well as move them forward and back. There's other points of articulation though. There is proper elbow joints in Bowser. You can bend those in like this, and that'll put those arms straight down. I'm not a huge fan of this look because then the entire connection system starts showing, but luckily it is all yellow, so it's definitely not bad at all. But with how nice the rest of this looks, I think it always just looks best to keep the arms folded up. But I like that the option is there to move them if you want. And there's no way that they could have done that better. That's about as good as you can get that. It's just the limitations of the LEGO brick, which is totally understandable. And then the hands themselves can also be rotated. You have a full 360 degrees right there. And then the little individual fingers are made using yellow pipe pieces. And then the thumb at the bottom is also able to be articulated, so you can have Bowser's hand open or closed. And with his hand open, you can even like fit Mario in there if you wanted. That's very funny. The arm is pretty much exactly the same on the other side, everything's just mirrored, but of course there's a big range of posability there. Now from the body, Bowser has his collar on his neck, and that's actually a little loose, which is another thing that I really like because I feel like that adds more life to the build. If you're moving this around and playing with it, that collar will be bouncing a bit, and that's just fun. It makes it feel less like a static model and more like an actual character. But despite being like able to move a bit, it is very sturdily put onto the build. It's not going to fall off or anything. Lots of tan pieces used on Bowser's stomach to create like the tortoiseshell design, and then you have a very round design to the sides of his stomach as well. Once again, same thing on the other side. Now there is a few play features on the side of his body. You may notice this yellow bit sticking out right here. That's a way to move him without actually touching the part of the body you want to move. So if I push this in, it then comes out the other side, and of course I can do the reverse. And you may have already noticed, but when I do that, his head will actually move back and forth. That's a lot of fun, because you could be playing with this guy, holding him from the back, and still moving his head back and forth. So especially if you're like a parent who has a younger kid who's into LEGO Mario, this is a fun way for you to like play with them, because you can properly move Bowser around while they're playing as like Mario or whoever. Another play feature ties in with this Technic piece on the side of the body right here. Now if you move that back, that'll also move Bowser's head back, and you can see cause him to shoot that fireball out. As I showed earlier, you can also do both of those things manually, but if you'd rather do it without actually touching Bowser's head, you do have that option. And that's another thing that I just really love. The shaping around the back on Bowser's shell is incredible. Just one of the nicest looking builds I've ever seen. I love the way the different green sections like interlock with each other, and this sort of like egg-shaped spike piece, I'm not sure if that's new for this set. Personally, I don't recognize it, but if anybody knows where it's from, let me know in the comments. But regardless, this works perfectly for Bowser, and like they just captured his design so well, which makes sense. I mean, it is a $270 set, so they better capture it well. But no, genuinely, it's very impressive like how nice the shell looks. And there's looking at it from another angle. Now, one very small thing that's only an issue in my set and probably will not be an issue with yours, but my set included a wrong piece. The angle in this green piece at the very bottom down here is wrong. It should be the inverse, where the wide part's at the bottom and the thin part's at the top. However, I got one too many of this angle and one too few of the opposite angle in this set, so unfortunately I was forced to build it wrong. Luckily though, it's not that noticeable, and once these parts are available on Bricks and Pieces, I will get a replacement part. But yeah, I just thought I should point that out in case anybody noticed it. But in theory, this should not be a common issue, so you guys don't have to worry about that. Bowser's got a tiny little tail at the back too, which just sort of hangs down. Very loose, so like no matter what height environment you have him on, whether it's high or low, the tail's still able to hang down right here. And that's adorable too, I like the little spikes on the back. Oh, also, something cool is like all the cone pieces, including on the shell, they're all connected on with extra parts. They're not just like placed on top of bricks, so it's not super easy for them to fall off, like pieces like this typically would be. Another very small thing, but I like how on the inside too, there's some white to represent the inside of Bowser's shell, because I could see them leaving that out on something like this, just being like, oh no, the shell is good for the back, forget about the front. But no, even though it's only 2 studs wide, they did make sure to fill in this area right here, which does look really good. And then finally for Bowser himself, we come to the legs. These look really good, probably one of the best shaped parts of this build. I love the angle on them with like the whole false knee thing. The rounded pieces to be like the kneecap and the sides of the legs look absolutely perfect. And then like the white pieces with the pyramids on top to represent the claws at the bottom. It's all done so perfectly. Feels very organic. They even textured the inside of the legs, which is always very nice to see. Speaking of things I always see, the underside of the tail is very well textured as well. Like you pretty much do not see many anti-studs in this entire build, which is really nice. It really feels like they put a ton of effort in here. And yeah, you can see both legs are exactly identical. Now if you pick up Bowser, you may notice his feet just sort of hang loose. There's no proper articulation on them, there's no way to like pose them in place. They just sort of dangle there, and then when you plop them on the ground, they just sort of fit in place. It might be a strange comparison, but it kind of reminds me of the center legs on this year's ATTE. It's done with a very similar technique, though obviously with very different legs. But no, I actually like that because it helps them fit on like different terrain. If you want to have one foot slightly up, you could probably do that. You're not stuck to like the rigid articulation rolls. Instead, you're able to move them around. And again, if you're actually playing with this guy, it allows him to like sort of stomp back and forth as he walks. That's genuinely just a lot of fun. And I think this was absolutely the right choice to go with the legs. Because it makes them very stable when just standing up, but still gives them room to move, and still makes them feel like an alive, organic creature. I think that's about it for the actual build of Bowser himself. But of course, that's not everything in this set. Because the set also comes with this little display stand to stand Bowser, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic, but I just don't know if it was necessary. Because this takes up, I forget, either 3 or 4 bags in this set, and the set probably could have been a good $30, $40 cheaper if this was not included. So part of me is like, why include it all? Why make the price higher? So you have these 2 pillars on the sides. They have printed tiles with the Bowser logo on them and fire coming off the top. Then you have a nice flat tiled area on the ground. There's the red carpet in the center, and that's where you're meant to stand Bowser, but there's also these flat cracked stones on the side so his feet can leak over to there as well. And like, yeah, look at that. It does look genuinely cool to have Bowser stand there. I just don't necessarily know if it's worth the trade-off of making the set cost more, because there are a lot of pieces that go into that base. But you guys have to let me know what you think about that in the comments. Do you think the base was worth it, or do you think it's just a pointless inclusion? There is one more thing about the base though, because the base is the way you can interact with the actual LEGO Super Mario figure. Because just like the other 2 previous Mario D2Cs, while this technically isn't a part of the course builder system, they still include a small course builder element, and this one is actually very cool. They do something I've never seen them do before, and it's something I really love. So the section at the front right here can be pulled out, and you can see there's a little barcode right here. Now you may notice that there wasn't any other barcodes on the rest of the set. So it's like, okay, do you just have Mario stand here and then nothing happens? Like, how does he actually interact with Bowser? But no, you actually are able to have a full boss fight with 2 phases with this. And that is very cool. So I'm going to describe what's going gonna happen, and then I'll let you guys just watch, because I got some feedback in my previous Mario reviews that you guys would just rather sit and hear the music play and you don't want me talking over it. So instead of trying to fight the sound of the music, I will talk about what's going to happen, and then I'll let the music play, and then we can regroup, okay? So essentially what happens is you have Mario stand on this barcode right here, and boss fight music will start playing. This will enter Mario into a boss fight mode, and in that mode, he doesn't need barcodes. If he stands on yellow or green, he thinks he's fighting Bowser, because of course with this set, the only yellow and green are on Bowser. If he steps on red, that's still considered fire, and if he steps on blue, well, that's something else that you'll see in a moment. But it's a very cool way to have him actually interact with this boss, and make it feel a little more organic than the barcodes that are on the actual Course Builder figures. Because no, this way you can have Mario stomp on any part of Bowser. And again, I think this is a set that's perfect for parents playing with their kids. The parent can be playing as Bowser, and the kids can be playing as Mario, Luigi, and Peach, and then they can all come over and stomp on a different part of Bowser to take him down. It's genuinely a really fun concept. But anyway, yeah, let me show you it in action. I'll play the music for a little bit, and then show you how to actually take Bowser down. Okay, so I think you get gist of the music now. That is music that does play in a certain part of the normal Course Builder system, though I forget exactly what. But now you can see if I stomp even on just Bowser's legs right here. Okay, so as you just saw, after you defeat Bowser the first time, you actually enter a second phase. You hear like this warning noise, and then fireballs appear on screen, and then after a little while, Mario says, "Go, go, go," and then you're able to fight Bowser again. So once again, you take Mario to the Bowser figure. This time I'll try stomping on the green of the shell on his back. And see, that time you win for real, the boss music stops playing, and you get more coins than I have ever seen in my life. That is so much fun. Like I've never been the biggest fan of the actual Course Builder game. I love the figures and everything, but that is easily the most fun I've ever had with the Course Builder, because it just feels so organic. You're not trying to find the barcode. You're just stomping on the enemy directly. It doesn't matter where you have your character standing. I really, really love that. There is one more part of the boss fight, though, and that's so you can have Mario actually knock over these two pillars on the sides. So the one on the right, if you knock it over, you can see there's just absolutely nothing underneath. But the one on the left, when you knock it over, you can see there's a little POW Block in there. Now, just like Bowser, the POW Block does not have a barcode on it, because that is the only blue piece in this set, so when Mario stands on it, he knows he's standing on a POW Block, you get a coin. However, I'm not really sure the purpose that serves in the boss fight. Alright, I'm turning the music off for now. Because yeah, I've tried hitting the POW Block immediately, in the middle of the first phase, in between the two phases, in the middle of the second phase, and then after the second phase, but none of them have seemed to impact the actual Bowser fight. He still takes just as many hits to kill, it does not stop the second phase from happening, so aside from just getting one extra coin, I'm not really sure what the purpose of that is from a gameplay perspective. If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments, but yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it's still cool that it's there, it adds a new gameplay mechanic, and obviously it's covered up most of the time so it doesn't change like the quality of the actual set. But yeah, I just find it interesting that it doesn't actually seem to affect too much. But I think that's about it for the Mighty Bowser. So, what are my overall thoughts on this set? I really like this set. I genuinely think this might be one of the best sets of the year. Now, in terms of price, it is expensive. In pure price per part, yeah, it's good, but you gotta remember sets like this come with no minifigures at all. There are some fairly big pieces used, and as I said, the build is fantastic, but I get that the price is going to be too big of a pill for many people to swallow. Price aside though, if you're a fan of Mario, I cannot recommend this one enough. This is the only one of the Mario DTCs I have, but I am so incredibly happy with it. This is everything I'd hoped it to be and more. As I mentioned during this review, I think it's actually a good toy for parents to play with their kids, but it's also just a fantastic display piece. This is one of those sets where it's not just going to be, oh, I review it for my channel and then it goes in the bin. No, this is going to stay on my shelves for years and years on end. At least Bowser himself. The base might go away to save space. But no, I'm just so incredibly happy with how this Bowser was built. The level of detail, the interesting building techniques, the way he's able to move around and pose. There's so much love and care put in this set. I'm just so incredibly happy with it. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please press like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do LEGO videos just like this one almost every day, so if you subscribe be the first to see them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!